Prefatory Note of Recollections of a Missionary in the Great West. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Recording by David Wales. Recollections of a Missionary in the Great West by Cyrus Townsend Brady. Prefatory Note. My purpose in writing these recollections is set forth with sufficient clearness in the pages that follow. With a few exceptions, easily identified by the form in which they appear, the experiences are personal and actually occurred as they are set down to the best of my recollection. I kept no notes, and, save for references and allusions in occasional letters, I have had to depend entirely upon my memory. Only one story was "made up" for the occasion, and that combines several actual incidents. I hope that this book may serve to interest those who read it in the life of the average missionary on the western frontier, a life of mingled work and pleasure, joy and pathos, hardship and fun. Cyrus Townsend Brady, Philadelphia, June, 1900. End of Prefatory Note. Chapter 1 of Recollections of a Missionary in the Great West by Cyrus Townsend Brady. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Once upon a time, the dean of an Episcopal cathedral in a far western state asked a young man, who had been a cadet midshipman in the United States Navy and was then a railroad official, to join a confirmation class he was organizing. The dean and the young man boarded in the same house at the time, the dean in the parlor, the young man in the garret, and a great friendship had arisen between them. The young man, whose antecedents were all Presbyterian, did not wish to be confirmed. When the dean pressed him, he replied firmly in the negative, and when the dean withdrew, he dismissed the subject from his thoughts. The very next day he walked into the dean's office in the evening and announced his intention of joining the class. He had given the matter no thought in the interim, and knew not until long after that the dean and some good friends of his who happened to like the young man had made his confirmation the subject of special prayer. The dean is dead now, but the young man will never forget him. He was a great-hearted, manly, Christian man, able, devoted, hard-working, and so beloved by all who came in contact with him that the papers said of him, after he entered into life, what Motley said of William the Silent, "When he died, the little children cried in the streets," and the words were exactly true. In due course, after his confirmation, the young man was moved by that which he cannot explain to study for the ministry. He was very busily employed during the day in a responsible position in the general office of one of the great railroad systems of the world, and the necessity of supporting his family constrained him to continue his work. But he found time early in the morning, during the noon hours, going to and from work, and late in the night, to prosecute his studies so successfully that by and by he was ordained deacon and appointed assistant minister to the overworked dean in the cathedral. The first and only duty that devolved upon him for some time was the attending of funerals. All the unattached Episcopalians in the city who wanted to be married, or buried, or helped, naturally came to the cathedral. The winter was very severe, and there were, I think, 13 funerals in 15 days, most of which the assistant conducted. Life in the ministry seemed to be made up of nothing but attending funerals, and the young man, who had known but little sorrow and grief at that time, nearly broke down under the strain caused by the suffering he witnessed and shared, until the dean came to his rescue and took the funerals himself. The cathedral had a large staff of honorary clergy on the rolls, who were all busy with their other duties in the diocese and were rarely there. The bishop, one of the best and sweetest of men, to whom this minister owes more than he can say, was very fond of referring to the cathedral clergy. Inasmuch as I was usually the only one visibly present, the people, and especially the other clergymen, dropped into the
Sample complete. Ready to continue?